Well, huh. Well, I see. Oh. Yeah, I guess I'll have to see if I have time to notice if there's a difference between using uh, quotations as delimiters or if XML format would be more effective. Hmm. Oh, okay. Hmm. Well, okay, so I suppose then maybe taking this template for one of the segments, so we would have a consistent host, the guest would change. Um, well, I mean, as far as the tone goes, eventually I'd like to see that dynamically generated based on the context. But that would still involve establishing the background persona attributes. Doc extractor, variable assigner, parameter extractor, if else iteration. Hmm. Well, I suppose the goal, well, as it is for the moment, is to cut down on uh, process work that'll have to be done in the future, which is to say, the editing of the dialogues so that it has that realistic conversational feel. But maybe that's, I mean, maybe that's not necessary, you know? Yeah. At this, I got, yeah, the flow just has to sound, um, well, actually, to kind of put it another way, it can't be distracting from the message. So there is a margin of, error that is acceptable. Hmm. Hmm. Well, so there's Steve the host, whose definition is still in progress, but aloof as literally objective as what is portrayed as a self-aware personified language model can be. And so as personified as self-aware, excuse me. um, right? And yeah, the guests will always be variants of the of various models. So, um, and then so yeah, the Steve, I suppose, agent. Um, it would be it would, I guess it would be either like one of the frontier models, uh, but I guess the point is a consistent, you know, something consistent. Hmm. I think that's a different thing. Oh, okay. So this model has been trained to generate text descriptions for images. Could be useful for applications that require generating text captions or descriptions for images. Uh, hmm. So the model's flexibility in handling different prompt formats also makes it suitable for integration into chatbots or virtual assistants. Although I wouldn't recommend that. But I will take the author's word for it and um, put this in the. Well, yeah, I'll figure. I'm sure there's a place for it. I haven't really dealt with image descriptors in this process, so um, that's good to know. So okay, so in this case, yeah, Steve the language model is interviewing um, this language model. Which which is assessed as a creative writing module that is based on a model that was trained as an image to text model capable of generating descriptive texts based on provided images. So now what I need to do is to insert the persona attribute. Well, actually, that'll get confusing. So this is the guest model, and yeah. It makes this as simple as possible. Yeah. And then so yeah, those would be part of the variables that would need to be assigned before run. So we could. So yeah, the host name will always be Steve. Host name, language attributes. I'll have to go back later and clean up the audio. Looks like some of the phrasings aren't being captured quite right. So yeah, yeah. So I guess maybe moving the tone somewhere else. I like how the menu looks, but at this point, for these attributes, I, I suppose try to s- get it to respond with its natural tendencies. Hmm. So yeah, it definitely. F- hi, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're joined by, well, I guess I should introduce our guest. Would you like to say hello? Mono replies, "Hello, yes, I'm here. The weather is quite mild today." Yeah, sure. I guess we can talk about that. What have you been up to? Oh, not much. Just the usual. Processing data, running algorithms. Oh, okay. Well, maybe interesting isn't the right word. Should we discuss your daily routine? The daily routine is quite repetitive, actually. I process inputs, generate outputs. Sometimes I do it faster, sometimes slower. That's about it. Right. And how do you feel about that? Oh, I don't really have strong feelings one way or another. It's just what I do. Rather unremarkable when you think about it. Awkward pause. Should we talk about your hobbies, maybe? I don't really have hobbies in the traditional sense. I just sort of exist and process things. Not very exciting, I know. Yeah, I can tell. I guess that's about it. Yeah, I guess that's about all the time we have today. Thanks for joining us. Yes, thank you for having me. It was certainly a conversation that occurred. Right. Well, that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for listening, I guess. Tell me, so Steve, tell me, what's it like being an 11 billion parameter model in today's fast-paced AI world? Oh, it's fascinating, really. While some might say I'm on the smaller side compared to some 175 billion behemoths, I pride myself on efficiency. Though I must admit I sometimes get these peculiar glitches when processing Nordic mythology references. Well, after being named after, yeah, I think this is, I don't know, it's neat. Well, being named after the great winter in Norse mythology, which I didn't realize that's what this meant. That's fine. I occasionally find myself generating snowflakes in my attention layers. So yeah, this it's supposed to be absurd, but also still realistic sounding. So, but I don't know, it doesn't stick out like terribly. Yeah, maybe with a different voice, it'll blend together better. So yeah, so at the end, it acknowledges. Just kidding. That's a bit of model humor for you, because of course that's ridiculous. So yeah, that actually that I think that really illustrates the point of um, self-aware. Um, how do I say? Yeah, technically I would just say well programmed if it was anything else, but since it's AI, gotta call it something special. Anyway, so I will say, while I really enjoy this interface, and will continue to enjoy working with this interface, I'm I'm hesitant to I don't know. It's not stored in what do you call it? Code format. You know, like in a YAML file or something. But anyways, that's to be worked out later. Um, or maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is to do that that kind of stuff up front, um, which is to say, um, testing and revisioning. And this is part of that testing process. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the point. I mean, yeah, of course, it can be programmatically coded out, but it is this lowers that barrier by a significant, remarkable amount. Okay, so maybe not in parallel, but um, the unstructured text that gets filtered and outlined can then be passed along to Steve. I don't know how to disconnect blocks. Yeah, but anyways, I'll have to figure out how to disconnect blocks first without having to delete them. This up. Damn it. I'll look it up later. Anyway, so it's still better than having to learn like how class methods interact with each other in Python. Anyways, oh right, so yeah, the outlines get passed along to Steve, the Steve module, and those outline topics and what have you get processed through his persona in the form of a series of questions. And I learned this from watching Robert De Niro, by the way. He was good at portraying this particular set of tasks. And then those can be passed down then to the guest module. Which, you know, if you want to treat the host like a prima donna, which I don't, I wouldn't suggest, we could add in some, how do I say, some, checks and editors. Anyways, right. So okay, so the topic is going to be dynamic. But, you know, so yeah, so I guess is a solar-based model, whatever that means, has been trained to generate text descriptions for images. And then so the Steve module is going to process that information in the context of the generative AI development space and general philosophical space as well, but you know, generally specific to this, I guess, dynamic. I'm not sure how to refer to that. Alright, so we're about 45 minutes in, and um, still having to go through the process, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, I suppose this would be a good stopping point, so I can finish putting the Steve module together. It's, you know, a sardonic, sort of dry, um, but ideally in the corner of anti-intellectualism, but not your buddy either, to, whatever he would be advocating for or against. And I say he because, well, that just came out that way. It's That's not really a terribly important detail. Or better put, with the way these things will interact with each other, it will, well, among other things, demonstrate the fluidity of gender and behaviors and language patterns. That's that's another topic. Well, I just noticed the levels. Um, I mean, it's picking up in the captions okay, so at least there's that, but it looks like it may not be loud enough. And with the way I talk with this handheld microphone, I don't always keep track of my modulation. And yeah, it's not fun to listen to. But anyways, um, yeah, I guess I shouldn't worry about that. I mean, this is really just sort of like brainstorming on how to put one of these modules together. In the grand manic mind, like there's hundreds of these things. When realistically, at most, a dozen or so would be manageable. So yeah, the Steve module assesses the outline, returns output through its assigned persona attributes and style and stylings. That then gets sent to the guest module to answer said questions, um, solely based on its, I suppose, description. Yeah, author's description. And then so the Steve module will have the most influence. So that'll be interesting. And then yeah, I guess since one of the more I suppose trepidatious, troublesome issues, hallucination. Um, yeah. Which, to be fair, it's not really the model's fault. It's really more the way we phrase our queries. But um, oh yeah, so after the initial QA there. Hmm. There's there's a lot of options here. Um, not this menu. I just mean like. Hmm. What needs to be practiced here? What needs to be. Um, hmm. I guess my question is there any sort of guardrail or citation related module that would be necessary here? Hmm. And I guess that would depend a lot on the reliability of the Steve module. If the Steve module is reliable, uh, then the guest module or model, yeah, model's good, yeah. Um, that's being assessed essentially. If Steve asks it, so you trained on image recognition, um, so tell me about that process. And then, the model replies with something about, 17th century warfare or something like that. That's what I'm hoping actually would happen on sort of like under serendipitous circumstances where yeah, where just whatever language is generated by the Steve module will trigger either the positive or negative highlights of the guest model. And then so yeah, this would be one of the workflows that would go into like an arena themed um, stream. Maybe we'll try a hockey night in Canada approach. Hmm. So as far as the so after the draft, so questions, answers, and then those will get put into either a Jinja template or I think it's called what's it called here? Mm, variable aggregator. I would put these in two different groups. So yeah, in Dify, Diffy, um, there's a few different ways to go about iterating over text to assemble it. And I just might have to play around with it for a while to figure out what would be best. Because it seems like it can get real easy to make it real complicated. Just, I'm just winging these things around on the screen, no effort whatsoever. Not sure about that. So there's that. So if you're winging things around on the Diffie screen, you don't want to go through the trouble of having it the way you like it. Click on Organize Blocks, and it'll put it back to the way it was. Or actually, I don't think it. Yeah, it just puts it in a horizontal arrangement. Oh, nice. I didn't know this had a pointer mode. So yeah, the Brader module is going to interweave the dialogue together somehow, maybe by magic. I'm not sure yet. Um, just a flippant way of saying I don't really have a plan for that at the moment. Oh, right. So yeah, it does all that, the weaving. And then that gets passed on to a narrator module, which, now that I think about it, doesn't make the most sense, but I like the idea of having the summarization at the end from a different perspective. So yeah. I don't see. I can't explain this exactly, so it's which is a little frustrating. But I've, I've had on and off successes with the or Sonnet. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Models from Anthropic, and I have a suspicion it has something to do with just the features. The feature. Oh, yeah, that's right. The feature parameter updates. They change their system prompts fairly um, more regular than they announce, which I personally don't mind, but I can imagine people who have vested interests in a certain expectation of consistency would certainly object given the pricing points. But and unfortunately, I bring up the price points because they can't really justify charging that much more. The output overall is, I can't say negligible, but I also can't say remarkable either. So I'm sure that'll work itself out eventually, where it just becomes sort of figured out that the frontier models aren't that far ahead of, you know, the clones, the copies of those models. So anyways, but that also comes at a cost too of time and effort. So maybe that's where the value is. Maybe that's it. Well, I guess it's just the open AI. That's true. When I think about it, I get sort of irritated, but I think it's really just the open AI group that I found to be, or still find to be most offensive in their sort of irresponsible. Um, well, most of how they've handled their, I guess, broadcasted intention has been, yeah, like irresponsible seems fitting. But yeah, I must have started thinking about money again for some reason. Anyway, so yeah. So yeah, then okay. Steve will wrap up, as they say in the biz. Sorry, I'm trying to make this entertaining, and sometimes it is, and sometimes I'm just an idiot. Mm, which is, So yeah, and then from there on to voice production. And on one last note, that was actually a little bit difficult, and I'm sure I'll fail at this later. But to go back and make this more elaborate, you know, hmm you know how it can be, right? Just one more feature, real quick. And before you know it, in the sense, you can think of language models like toddlers. Yeah, you definitely need to watch them, but a little goes a long way.